Once upon a time, there were millions of businesses struggling. Every day they wasted time, effort, and energy on repetitive tasks that added no value. One day, the Better Automation podcast by PROCESIO came to help them find a way. Because of this, these businesses save time, reduce costs, innovate, and make better decisions. Because of that, these businesses grow, scale, and use human creativity to change this world. Hello, my name is Aziz, and I'm your host at Better Automation Podcast by PROCESIO, where I interview the world's top experts and share their very best ideas on how to improve automation in your businesses, processes, and life. My guest today is Camille Franceschi. Camille is a graduate of Université Paris-Dauphine, a research university specialized in organization and decision sciences. Camille is the co-founder of Joonbot.com, a no-code chatbot builder to automate in minutes your recurring interactions. Joonbot is accelerated by the Zendesk acceleration program and the famous incubator HEC, and it is based at Station F in Paris, which is the world's biggest startup campus. Camille, how are you today?
I'm fine, thanks you. Thanks, Aziz. Very good.
We will speak a lot about Joonbot. We will speak a lot about everything, but I want to begin with how is it to be a French woman entrepreneur in 2022? Are there challenges? Is it easy? Are there anything you needed to overcome? Tell me your experience.
I grew up around men, if I can say, because I started to work in finance, so in a trading floor, so it's very full of testosterone, and then I work even as a developer. So being a woman entrepreneur today is not something I feel difference regarding the interaction with men. It's always it's also full of men, and I don't feel uncomfortable being around all those men, and I'm more like a challenging person. So I feel there is a challenge then if it's just for men.
I love that. That's absolutely wonderful. And then about Joonbot. What's the story? How did the idea come to be? How did you decide, you and your co-founder, to go to this direction?
With my co-founder, we previously worked in a company which was a marketplace for recruitment in services. And the idea was to be able to find 3 candidates quickly to serve, for example, to work in a shop or in a restaurant, So the thing is that we created an operation process to qualify the candidates and make them create a video, etc. But the thing is that the form was too long, people never finish it, and it never worked. So we continuously had to call the people. So in the end, we lost a lot of time, and then we stopped it. We just evolved in other companies, and then the chatbot movement arrived, and we thought like, if we knew about this conversational way to collect data, maybe it would have been better maybe we would have a better conversion rate, and it would be easier for the people to answer to our questions. And then we started to think about a widget to add to websites, to see the resume and ask a few qualification questions. That was the beginning of Joonbot. And then we evolved to a larger industry.
I really love that, and it makes me notice that you created an ideal kind of process, but it was too long. People didn't finish the forms, and therefore you needed to adapt or find a way that works. Is this correct?
Yeah. It was too long. The completion rate was too low, and we finished by calling them.
When someone is using Joonbot to create a process, do you recommend they start with the minimum, like the MVP of the process, and then grow it from there rather than design the ideal chatbot flow? And then, because it could be too long, too big, too complex for reality, like how do you go about it? Because there are two schools of thought. Some will say, look, if people begin operating, they will do the easy thing, and therefore it's not optimal. It's just what is instinctive to them. So you need to spend time designing the whole process theoretically perfect and then implement it in reality. While others say, look, there is a difference between theory and practical reality. Have people do their thing to create a minimal process and then adapt and iterate based on what the users are doing. Which one do you agree with? Is it both? What do you recommend, for example, Joonbot users to approach creating the flow they will use?
The answer is both, actually, because it depends on the use case. I was talking to you about recruitment before, but today people use it for many use cases, so it's very different. Some people have a lot of questions to ask, so if they can, of course, if you can reduce it, it's always better. But in some cases, it's compulsory. And for people who would say, usually people think they need to ask a lot of things, so they start like that. They see that the completion rate is not woohoo, so they reduced a bit, and then they are happy with it. But the thing is that in the end, if we take like the example of the recruitment, the end is the how many did I successfully recruit people on time. Because you can have thousands of applications, but if they are not good, you lose time, qualifying it again. So the chatbot can qualify it, so maybe you will lose people, but you are sure that in the end, you will call always the good ones, and you save time, and you have your recruitment process done.
It's very interesting. And I will ask you, since you said before you were an employee and now you're an entrepreneur, the hardest thing about entrepreneurship is that it's chaos until you find your product market fit. How is the process of finding the product market fit for Joonbot? How do you know when you found it? Are you still searching for it? Is it stressful? Tell us the whole chaotic experience, because maybe other entrepreneurs or people who desire to be entrepreneurs could be comparing themselves and thinking, oh my God, I'm trying so hard, but I'm not finding that magical product market fit. So to either tell them it's normal to be confused for a long, long time dealing with uncertainty, or to tell them, oh, this is what we did. You should try these ways in order to get to a more successful startup rather than failing without finding any product market fit.
I can't say that we found the product market fit because, when you have it, you have it, and I don't think we have it. So, but at least we can how do we say that we can live with the company, which is huge. So that's a relief. But the good thing we have today is that we have clients who are very happy, and they bring other clients. People find us through word of mouth most of the time, so that's a good sign. And about trying things, we did that a lot. Maybe the best thing to do is to try, but with a strategy and from the beginning to the end. And then if it didn't work, go to another one, not trying to do everything at the same time. So this is our platform. So you start without chatbot, unlike my account full of ones. But you can create a chatbot from scratch or through a template. And if I start from scratch, you will see that you can create a chatbot very easily. So the way you build chatbots on Joonbot is that you just add blocks and you link them together. So here you have what we call a button block. So you ask a question and then you suggest some predefined answers. And to go to the next question, you add another block and you link them together. So if I click on preview here, I can see the first question with the 3 buttons, like here. And if I click here, I'm a current customer and I have a question, the chatbot will ask my name. So really, it's very intuitive, no code required, and very easy to use. And you have all the blocks you need to build your conversation. You can even ask for a file. You have rules behind questions. You can add text, images, videos, emojis, so you can really customize it. And if you want to do kind of complex things, you can do it. For example, you can create a scoring system if you qualify leads or if you create a quiz. So you can do that with calculation and variable blocks. You can create very custom conversational paths depending on previous answers. So if you ask specific question and you expect some answers, then you can create rules and the user will follow a specific conversational path. You can do that with the logic jump block. And you can also track your performance everywhere you want. If you, for example, you want to book a Calendly meeting somewhere, you can track it using the conversion block, like that. And we have also a JavaScript block. It can be a bit scary, but in fact, you can just add a few lines of code and it will be executed. And it can be very interesting if you run Facebook or Google Ads, as you can send events to Facebook, Google, and even Google Analytics also. So it's a great way to send your data to your analytics tool. You can also conduct A/B tests. Very useful if you have doubts about a certain question, the way you ask it, etc., and you want to improve your completion rate. And as a NoCode tool, Joonbot is well integrated with other tools. So you can trigger an email, you can do an integration with Zapier, so you can send a text message, you can send a Slack notification when you want, so it's very powerful. And we have a native integration with Google Sheets, so you can send all your data into Google Sheets. And the good thing is that you don't see here make block, but you can do a make integration. You just have to use the webhook block. And it's very, very, very powerful because with make, you can send data, the data you collected from Joonbot to, I don't know, Airtable, but you can also, in live during the conversation, take information from your Airtable and use it during the conversation with your chatbot. So it allows you to do really very, very, very powerful things. And yes, that's pretty much it for this quick demo.
Thank you. I like it. And I find it really, really powerful that people can actually nowadays create very useful things that would have required a whole team of developers and things like that for their business. So it's giving access. To me, I think about it's like YouTube, for example. Before, you would have needed a studio, a TV station, so many things. And now anybody with their phone can make a video and share their knowledge, their expertise, their perspective on YouTube in seconds or on Instagram or wherever. So no code is that for software or for marketing, etc. You spoke about Joonbot. I love all the blogs and I would recommend to any person to speak with clients so that they understand which tracks are usually the logical tracks that people go through to buy, what questions usually each kind of person will have. So it's not about guessing, it's about always understanding your customers. But do you have plans for the future for Joonbot that you're working on? I don't know, like the ability to read the answers that are written in human form or AI or anything like that, since that's something that a lot of companies are focusing on integrating within their tools.
Okay. We are Joonbot is a self-service SaaS, so we are targeting more SMBs and startups than big groups. And if you are a big company and you have a big call center with thousands of people answering to questions all the time by phone, maybe having a chatbot able to do this job would be interesting. So you can invest months and a lot of money trying to build this AI. But for many cases, I would say, like, I don't know, 90% of the cases, a chatbot rule-based like ours is very fine. So we don't plan to create the AI part. Actually, you can do, if you really want to use AI into Joonbot, you can do it through a webhook block. But you need to build the AI yourself with Dialogflow or something else. But no, it's not the direction we will take. It's more about focusing again and more on the automation of repetitive interaction. And like I told you, people use it for recruitment. They can also use it for giving interactive lessons. And for that, there is a feature, to give you an example, we would like to develop is to the ability for the chatbot user to send the video. So when you qualify a candidate and you offer him the ability to create a video, you just again automate another part of the recruitment process. So it's all good for everybody, and people are used to get recorded now. So this is the kind of things we want to go through. More automation, more no code, more customization, but we don't want to be an omni-channel or AI chatbot.
Thank you. That's very important because it's being customer focused rather than product focused, where you're not just adding features just because they seem cool, but based on the real needs and requirements of the users. And I will ask you something that I'm curious about, and maybe other people, because France is not known for its entrepreneurship culture, but at the same time, if they do something, whether because of the culture, the language, the people, it will be different and innovative. So what does it happen? Let's say I'm a startup, I'm a solopreneur, I'm doing it on my own in my home or whatever. What's different between the help you get when you're part of an accelerator as well as a startup campus? Like, what difference is it compared to you and your co-founder if you stayed in your garage or whatever doing all the work and using books and like courses online and whatever? What difference does it add to the startup experience to be part of an accelerator as well as something like Station F?
I can tell you on that because we started in the garage and then we enter into Station F. So the thing is that when you are alone in your garage, you do the mistakes and you don't talk to others, and you do mistakes, so then you lose time, and being with other at Station F or within the HEC incubator, it helps you to go to talk to someone else who is doing the same business as you, and you ask question, and you get feedback, and you know that there is things you need to avoid to do. You just gain time on that because you have the feedback of everybody, and you don't do the 1,000 mistakes you do usually when you start from nothing and you know nothing. So entrepreneur help each other, and with the HSC incubator we also have access to experts, so it's really helpful.
Thank you. And I will play the devil's advocate a little bit because startups are a very unique beast in that nobody really knows the correct thing, because you mentioned mistakes and I understand that, but sometimes mistakes are what allow for innovation. I think about it, it's like the evolution of species or whatever, that genetics keep on varying, making mistakes, but some of those mistakes become unicorns or the next evolution. So how is it possible to balance? I'm thinking about it in an entrepreneurial way of thinking, not restricting or having a formula for a startup, which will mean there won't be as much variety in the innovation because everybody's trying to do it correctly. And at the same time, allowing for the beautiful mistakes that can create the next unicorn. What is your perspective and thought about this?
I think that maybe you can avoid to do common mistakes, and you just do the right mistakes to become the unicorn, something like that. The thing is that also when people will give you feedback, they will give feedback related to their own business, but every business is different. So sometimes you can listen to advice from someone else, but it's not the good advice for your company. So in the end, you will do mistake anyway. So the thing is just to go faster as possible.
Thank you. I love this. So I will contrast with something that a lot of people talk about, whether Seth Godin or not, where, okay, if you go into a lean startup process, the premise or the assumption or the way of thinking is this: customers are there, they have needs, understand their needs, and then create something that gives them what they want. So you are serving them. While there are some people like Seth Godin who will say that's being a hacker or selling your personality for money. I mean, I know it sounds negative, but, and what he's saying, look, if you create your truth, that is your passion, and following it, you'll suffer, you will not make that much money. But in the end, you will have a happy life because you lived your reality. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing that, whether it's a mistake or not, where they're not thinking about the customer, they're thinking, what do I love? Let me create a SaaS or a product or a startup about that. And often they don't find product market fit, but in many ways, they're following their soul. You know what I mean? While some others could create a startup that is doing the product market fit, they're doing all that, and all they do in the end is sell that business to start a passion business that will be harder to do, but follows their own heart and all that. I know it doesn't have to be a contradiction, but sometimes it is. What's your perspective on this?
From my perspective, it would be very difficult to work into a business I don't like just because it's an opportunity. For the chatbot industry, you can do it many ways, but we wanted to do a self-service platform. We are in love with NoCode and automation, so that's why Joonbot is like that today. Otherwise, maybe it would have been easier to do service related to chatbots, But that's not what we wanted to do, so we are more in between. But I understand both type of people. It makes sense.
Thank you so much. So if people want to use Joonbot, they're excited about it, they want to learn more or more about you, what are the best websites or links for them to do that? And I'll make sure to write the Joonbot website as well as your Twitter in the description.
Oh, thank you. Yes, they can join. They can reach me on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn. I always answer, and if they want to try Joonbot, they can sign up, and they have a free 14 days free trial, so they can try everything.
Thank you. And before we end, I also highly recommend to all the viewers and listeners PROCESIO. I'm sure it can integrate with the APIs of Joonbot. PROCESIO is the modern low-code, no-code platform for advanced automation and creating an enterprise-grade backend for your software. So I know you mentioned Make, but it's like something more advanced and more cool. Any listener can request access to a free account at procesio.app. They can use it forever. It's really wonderful. And those with business needs, with higher needs, they can take advantage of a 50% discount code, which is better 50 off, one word in capital letters, more information in the description. Camille, this was my privilege, my honor, such a wonderful project you're working on. Keep going and thank you.
Yes, thank you too for having me.